I'm JT Burcham. Welcome to People and Projects. So nice to have you along today. Thank you for tuning in. I always promise entertaining people and engaging projects, and today, no exception. Welcome, John Scroggins. Did I say that right, John?
You did, JT. Thanks so much. Some
John,
people don't get that right the first time around, but you did. Knocked it
home
out of the
run
park.
right there. Thank you. I should have double checked with you beforehand.
Yeah, well, you got it right.
The Baton Exchange. I had not heard of you guys before. I'm about to be educated, but really interesting. If you have young people in your life that might need a little mentoring or a little guidance in their professional life, that sounds like the Baton Exchange might be for them. Yes.
Oh, we can certainly help with that, JT. Yeah, we've been helping Christian young professionals for about 17 years or so learn how to integrate faith, work, and leadership for redemptive influence for Christ, no matter what their job is. And one of the ways that we execute on that mission is through mentoring. So connecting these 20-somethings, 20 to about 33 years old, to a believer in their field. So, a young woman in accounting, we'd connect her with a more seasoned woman in accounting who's a believer, or engineering or social work or business, whatever it is. We really love connecting these Christian young adults to someone who's give them some wisdom and be a sounding board as they try to live out their faith earlier in their career.
That sounds sort of biblical.
Just a little bit, yeah. You could probably find that in 2 Timothy 2:2, perhaps. Disciples making disciples, right? Passing on what you learned to someone else who's behind you a little bit.
Now the trick question here, John. This is your organization. You founded it.
Yes.
Talk about the beginning. How did this idea come about, and how did it get started?
Yeah, so my background's in business. Graduated from Ohio State University. Production operations management degree, and then an MBA. And I started becoming interested in business as mission. How do we use business strategically to advance the kingdom? And then that broadened into workplace as ministry. How do we minister to others around us through our everyday work lives? And so if we're followers of Christ, followers of Jesus, then what we learn on Sunday should apply to what we do on Monday. Wow. And so I went through this season where God was working in my heart and creating this desire to help others learn how to live their faith, in a tactful, winsome way in the marketplace, in the workplace. And so eventually had the opportunity to start the Baton Exchange as a 501c3 nonprofit to help young adults do those things, like live out their faith in the workplace. So that's just a thumbnail sketch of how I got started, and the big why. The big why is really to be an influence for Christ through our everyday work lives. People who had never stepped foot in a church, they're going to be rubbing elbows with people at work where they're spending most of their time building relationship and trust, hopefully. So yeah, we're really that's really the background, quick sketch.
I love that. Well, and it sounds like you're also helping young Christian professionals become better Christian professionals, I'm guessing also.
That's exactly right. Yeah, we believe, so what I did is I thought about what does it take to be an influence and an influence for Christ in the workplace, and kind of reverse engineered that question and broke it into smaller pieces. And so that ended up creating like a holistic approach to development for these young adults, in that, yes, they need to know how to share their faith, in a tactful way. But frankly, if they may know how to share their faith in a tactful way, but if they stink at their job, no one cares what they think about Jesus. So we have to help them also develop those professional skills, excel, become excellent in their professional skills, soft skills, their character. What kind of character attributes are important to employers? If this person is going to be promotable, because initially what happens is, my experience has been that to develop that influence to share what you believe about Christ, you have to, you initially gain respect in the workplace through being excellent at your job, but you retain that respect by being a person of excellence in your character. And so if we're to develop these influencers for Christ in the workplace, then they have to be, develop excellence in competency, is what we call it, the professional skills and character, in order to share Christ. And so, but also through all of that, they also have to understand their calling. So who's God wired them? How has he wired them to be? That can influence how he might want to use them out in the marketplace. Also, another C. So I love following these C's. So far we've had, we've had a calling. How's God wired them? We've had Christ. What's God say about work? We've had character. What kind of character attributes are important? Competency, but also core. So that some of the heart stuff, like what is our identity? That's kind of a popular thing people talk about, but really our identity in Christ should be at the core of who we are and influence how we show up and how we think about career, money, leadership, influence, and so on. So calling, core, Christ, character, competency, and then capacity is the leadership capacity. How do we help these young adults develop their leadership capacity, whether or not they have the title? And so we also look at that. And then also another C is community. It's really important that these young adults understand the importance of being plugged into the local church and having those 2 or 3 people in their life who like a mentor, can encourage them, hold them accountable, walk alongside them. So we're really trying to take a holistic approach in developing these Christian young professionals to be future leaders out in the businesses and education, whether social work or, nursing or wherever God may lead them and use them. It takes a holistic approach to really help them develop and be that influence for Christ.
Very cool. Now, I'm guessing that takes some mentors.
It does, yes.
And it takes some young people. I mean,
it does.
It sounds like you're partnering people 2 by 2.
We are, yes.
Both sides. Coming right down to it, how do folks get involved as a mentor? How do folks get involved as a young person?
Yeah, as a mentee, as a young person, they typically hear about us through campus visits at a college, for example. So we have juniors and seniors typically. So 20 to about 33 years old, that's who we're serving. And so they'll hear about us through campus visits, if they're already graduated, through LinkedIn often, through word of mouth, perhaps through maybe a church will let us share about what we're doing, or even, kind of supplement what the church is doing. So that's how mentees typically hear about us. Mentors, again, word of mouth, often through LinkedIn. A mentee will say, hey, John, I'd like to have a mentor in electrical engineering. So we'll look at our mentor pool. Who do we have that fits that? If we don't, then we'll go through LinkedIn, social media platform to identify potential mentors. And then we vet those folks to make sure there's the proper faith alignment and where's this person's story, what's their story like, so that we're making sure we're doing our due diligence before we do those matches. And so those are some of the ways that mentees and mentors hear about Baton Exchange and get plugged in.
Interesting. So I bet you've got how long have you been doing this?
So I started casting vision for this in 2006.
Okay.
And then we really launched in 2000, I think it was 8 or 9. So we've had different ways that we've executed on that mission, of equipping Christian young adults. Some have been through like a cohort approach where, it's for a year where they're meeting in a small group setting. And then also mentoring actually from the very beginning. So the last few years, the mentoring is what's really taking off. And so now we have mentors and mentees in 25 states, coast to coast, north to south. And 90% of those would be virtual. So that gives folks the opportunity to really, if they're having trouble finding a mentor, for example, a mentee is struggling, we can get them connected to a mentor in another state even. And so the virtual mentoring has really helped open the opportunity. And so that it's been fun now over the years to see folks that have been mentored through Baton Exchange over a decade ago, come back and start mentoring others. And so that's really satisfying to see that next generation coming through.
That is so cool. Yeah, that is so cool. Now, we've still got a couple minutes left, but if folks want more information, I think you are the Baton Exchange.org.
That's
Yes?
correct. Yeah, they can reach out to us through that. Be happy to connect with them, whether they want to learn about being a mentor, or we'll have other kind of back office volunteer needs. We also actually we need to hire, this would be a great position for a retiree. We're looking for a person who has experience building like a talent acquisition team or recruiting, because as you can imagine, we recruit mentors and mentees. So we're looking to hire someone like a 10-hour a week remote part-time for that. But if they're a mentee, same thing, just reach out through the Baton Exchange.org, and we'd love to chat with them. Our big dream is we want to be mentoring. This is a big God-sized dream, but our big God-sized dream is to be actively mentoring 1,000 young adults around the world every year.
Wow.
And so we have a long way to go. And but this year we'll probably hit somewhere probably close to 100 or something like that.
Very cool.
And but that's our big dream, and it's going to take a lot of folks chipping in with their time, talent, and treasure to make that happen.
Yeah. I heard you say you right now multiple states.
Yes.
Although you're based in Ohio.
Yes.
So you're a neighbor.
That's right. Yeah, not too far from me.
Are there more in Ohio? Do you have more connections in Ohio?
Yeah, so we have because we started in Ohio, in Columbus, and have a lot of in-person types of equipping that we've done over the years, we have a good solid base of Ohioans. But I would say probably, that reflects now those we serve maybe 10%, 15%, somewhere in there.
Wow.
Okay. So yeah, we're all over the place now, and it is because of the virtual mentoring really does help, so we can connect people, and we love to do that. So it's all about getting this next generation ready to receive the leadership baton, because they need to be prepared, and they really are hungry to learn how can what's attracting them, the mentees, to what we're doing is they see that they've perhaps had a spiritual mentor at church or an occupational mentor at work, but really have they had the opportunity to have someone who is a believer in their field that kind of understands their context. So that's what's really attracting them to what we do. And so we're just trying to get the word out to more mentees, mentors. Would love to work with local Christian-led companies, local churches who maybe want to do something internally like this, and other organizations. So would love to connect.
Yeah, love it. Love it. So there you go. The call is out. If you're a young person looking for a mentor, you got a young person in your life looking for a mentor, or if you'd like to be you want to be a mentor or mentee. I got to get those terminologies straight. Yeah. Either way, the batonexchange.org is the place to hook up with John Scroggins and talk about being a match and helping pass on skills and your faith all at the same time. I love that.
That's right.
John, thanks for your time today. Time goes fast when we're having fun.
Indeed it does, JT. Thanks again for your this opportunity to share.
And thank you for what you're doing. Keep up the good work. The Baton Exchange.org.